Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and today I have a fascinating guest for you. And his name is Ryon with the O, Anderson. And Ryon is a very patient person. Ryon, thank you so much and welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here.
So tell me, Ryon, I'm very interested in your story. You are blind, but
Yep.
at the age of 11, you were preparing yourself. You wanted to play on the NFL.
Yeah. So I was born like everybody else, excited. I guess, and like you said, my goal in life was to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, I was the kid out there, stealing plays from the video game at the time to take to recess to use with all my friends. I was running drills like my idol Joe Montana, throwing a football at a tire that I had hung up in some trees. I mean, I'm running to the side, throwing it, or whatever I had to get better at what I did. And that was my dream, was to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, could I have done it physically? I don't know. I wasn't able to go on and play because, as you said, I lost my vision at 11. But I absolutely know I could have done it intellectually, personality-wise, drive-wise. But the physical part, I don't know. But luckily, after getting sick and losing my vision, that same competitiveness, that same drive, allowed me to go on and overcome and succeed despite the fact that I can't see. So.
Well, I can tell you, Ryon, for the little I know about you, you would have been that quarterback.
Thank you.
But clearly, the Lord had a different plan for your life. So tell us what happened. Tell us what made you, how you became blind. What caused your blindness?
So I randomly got sick. I had a brain abscess, and like when your finger gets cut and infected, it swells. My brain essentially did the same thing. It somehow got infected and started swelling. And when it swelled, it hit the nerves that make you see where they cross, which is why I can't see. However, I was supposed to be dead or severely brain damaged. So I really came out relatively unscathed, all things considered. I was able to go on. I have a master's in counseling psych. I have a law degree from Texas Tech. I'm a member of the Texas Bar.
Hold on. Don't go so fast. You have a law degree?
Yeah, I have a law degree.
What did you say? You mentioned another, a master's in what?
Master's in counseling psychology. Yeah.
Look at you. I'm so proud of you. People like you really excite me. So keep going.
Yeah. So I'm a member of the Texas Bar. So like I said, luckily I was able to go on and succeed academically, despite the fact that I couldn't see. So, and a lot of that is attributed to, I have a really great family. I have a great support system, but then I'm also, super, super competitive. And I just turned not being able to see to my greatest challenge, because challenges can be beaten while disabilities can't. So I just made it my greatest challenge.
I can't find the adjective. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You hear people saying all the time, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
Yeah.
You certainly made a big pot of lemonade, and it sounds like you even added some whiskey to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing like getting drunk while you're going through life, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, are you a practicing lawyer, or are you now a...
I'm not, because I choose not to be. Like I said, I'm a member of the bar. I just went on inactive status because it wasn't a good personality fit. I didn't like sitting behind a desk, researching and writing all the time. And it was funny. The more and more I did it being a lawyer seemed like a very negative mindset, because you're always worried about like what might go wrong, who might be screwing who might. It just wasn't the type of mindset that I wanted to live my life. I'm a very positive person by nature, and I'm a problem solver by nature.
Yeah.
And I'm much more focused on like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to overcome this versus what might go wrong or who might be trying to sabotage us. I just didn't like that mindset. So I didn't like who I was becoming. So I made a career pivot, and now I it's funny, now I actually coach people on mindset and business as well. So
that is awesome. Truly,
Yeah.
truly awesome. So you coach people on mindset.
Yeah.
What a better person to teach somebody how to do that than someone who's gone through what you have.
Right. Yeah.
Where does your drive come from, Ryan?
You know, that's a good question, and I don't know. A lot of it was just born that way. You know, I have two really ambitious parents. Like my mom is a master's in microbiology and works in a hospital. My dad owned a dairy for 30 years, and I just kind of come from really driven parents. And you know, as a kid, I always wanted to achieve greatness. I wanted to be that NFL quarterback. And I didn't realize till I got older how much that really meant, because it didn't just mean I wanted to play football. You know, being the quarterback is a lot of responsibility in addition to, you know, playing in front of fans. You know, it's leading a team, it's leading men. You know, it's taking responsibility for losses that may or may not have been your fault. There's a lot of things that come with that in addition to just the physical part of it. And so I don't really know where it came from other than, you know, genetics. But then after losing my vision, it kind of amped up because it was more, I was not going to let not being able to see, you know, keep me from doing the things that I wanted to do. So a lot of it became proving myself and the doubters wrong. So
Wow.
that's where a lot of it comes from now, is some of that. But a lot of it's just kind of innate too.
Wow. So Ryan, I always try to understand what it's like for someone who doesn't see. Someone who was
Mhm.
born blind, I would
Yep.
imagine, is a very different experience from someone who was
Yes.
actually able to see until
Hmm.
11. What was
Yep.
it like the first time you became aware of your, you were conscious and realized you
Right.
couldn't see? Can you remember that moment? What was the
Yeah,
feeling?
so like my last memory of someone sighted was running across with my best friend running across the basketball court as we're playing pee wee basketball, right? And then my next memory is I woke up in the hospital and couldn't see. It was paralyzed on one side, you know, a lot of things going on. And there were several months in between that I was, you know, walking, talking, doing whatever, but I just don't remember. So for me, literally, it was a wake up, I can't see, and the last memory I have is being healthy and my best friend playing basketball, right? So it really was almost like flipping off a light switch
Wow.
for me. So it was a huge, huge shock, right? Because there was no adjustment time as far as my memory was concerned. It was more like wake up, boom, you can't see, and now you have to learn to deal with this. So yeah, it was a rude awakening. Let's put it that way.
So apart from losing your vision, did you
Mm-hmm.
lose um, the ability to walk or anything else, or you only lost your vision?
You know, as far as like permanent loss, it really was just not being able to see. But like I had paralysis on one side that I had to work through with physical therapy, and my dad was really, really great. He had a friend at the time that was an ex-Canadian football player that he was lifting and working out with, and he basically took me with his friend, and that became my physical therapy for a lot of the stuff, a lot of the big muscle movements, and not only physical therapy, it was a huge psychological therapy as well, because like I said, I wanted to be an NFL quarterback. It was like being in a locker room with a bunch of guys who accepted me for who I was, but more importantly, they were constantly pushing me to try harder, to do more. And they were able to do it in ways that my dad couldn't, because you know I'm 11, 12 years old at this time. No one's going to listen to their dad, but they're going to listen to an ex-football player, right? So you know, I was really fortunate to have that aspect in my life as far as my recovery, and that definitely, you know, sped or increased how much recovery I had. So I mean, like I said, other than the fact I can't see, I have no limitations. I live in downtown Austin. I walk with a CNI dog. I walk super, super fast, and I walk around downtown all the time. So, like I said, other than not being able to see, I lead as normal of a life as possible.
Woohoo! I'm so
Yeah, yeah.
happy. You're such an inspiration,
But
Ryan.
that was my intent, right? Like I always want, my goal was to be considered a normal guy that happened to be blind versus a blind guy that happened to be normal. It's such a small, subtle, but profound difference in the way people view you. And it's funny, I can be walking around downtown Austin and most of my friends forget I can't see, or people don't think that I'm blind because Austin's such a dog-friendly city that everybody's walking around with dogs, right? So I'm just like everybody else. Mine just happens to be actually working versus, walking around downtown with me. But yeah.
You're just another guy walking out
Yeah.
with a dog,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Do you date? Would you like to get married? Are you married?
Married, no. Would I like to be married? Yeah. Do I date? Not as much as I should. I'm fairly picky with who I want to like date, spend time with, and when you're picky, it's hard to find people that you want to date, if that makes sense, right?
No, I get
Um,
that. I'm
yeah, because I
the
mean,
same
I don't
way.
want to just date I don't want to just date anybody. Like, I want to date someone who's amazing, right? And there aren't that many amazing people in the world, so just by that, which is true, right? But just by that sheer definition, it's going to make the numbers smaller, right?
Right.
But I have a
You are
lot of
in that
amazing
small
female friends.
minority of amazing people, Ryan. I must
Yeah,
declare on camera that
yeah.
you are in the small minority of amazing people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I'm going to ask you questions that are not meant to irritate you, but I'm just really curious.
Yeah, ask anything you want.
How do you manage, like, with reading and like, you have a law degree? If you
Right.
can't see, how did you accomplish that when you had to take all the courses and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I can read Braille. I choose not to because it's hard to get stuff from Braille. It takes forever. It's slow. It's good for certain things, but it's not good for, the voluminous amounts of reading that you have to do for law school. So everything that I did digitally, right? So I have what are called screen readers, and they read whatever is on the screen that's
Right.
written, right? Now it's funny that you mentioned law school. Law school was the first time that I really did that on my own. All the way through grad school and undergrad, I hired assistants to do it, but it was just so much reading in law school. You just can't hire enough assistants. So I used screen readers for the first time, and I couldn't get my books in digital formats for half of the first semester because publishers were fearful that I was going to like give them the classmates for free, right? And they weren't going to make money off of their books. And so, I actually fell way, way, way behind my first year of law school because I couldn't get the books in the digital format that I needed, which we got worked out eventually. But yeah, so that's the way I did it in law school. And while I was in law school, iPhone came out with it was iPhone 3 that came out with their first screen reading program that allowed me to, for the first time ever, be able to use a smartphone. And as far as like, enter my own contacts and text people and read emails and check the internet. And so now I do everything on my iPhone, whether it's reading a book, whether it's reading the internet, an email, a text, whatever it may be. I do everything with an iPhone now.
Well, I must tell you, you're very efficient on it because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
the only person that when I text, I get a timely response. Every time.
Okay, that's one of my irritations too. Yeah, that's because that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like when people take, 3 hours to respond. Like, you're sitting there by your damn phone. I know you are because everybody in the world's sitting by their phone. Right? You know what I'm saying? Respond. Yeah, so that's one of the pet peeves of mine too.
Yes, well, I feel that way as well. I try to respond. If I don't, my phone is off because
Right, or I'm in a
something.
meeting or something. Right, yeah.
So, what have you found the most challenging, if anything, not being able to see?
It's funny. It's the little things, to be honest with you. So, like, I'm lucky that I'm smart and I'm able to figure out a lot of things. A lot of things a lot of people consider difficult as far as like creativity, problem solving. I just happen to naturally be good at, just God-given ability. But what's frustrating is things that are simple for everybody. I can't, like, for example, so I just recently moved from one condo to another in downtown Austin. And you would think like the move would be frightening, like I'm in this unfamiliar place. No, that's easy. I know how to navigate downtown. That's not my concern. It's little things like not being able to run my washer and dryer because we haven't labeled like where warm is or where cold is, or little things like that, or the fact that I can't run a microwave unless it's labeled because it doesn't talk, it doesn't read. And if it gets in some weird menu, hell, I don't know where it is. So it's really hard to figure out. Little things like, I have this place has a Nest thermostat, right? And we had a hell of a time getting it. Like a Nest thermostat, getting it set up. Like, so I had to have a friend come over. Like, just little things like that everybody can do day to day, and those are really the biggest things. Because it makes me feel like everybody else assumes that I'm a damn idiot for not being able to figure it out. And
Oh,
it's not that I can't figure it out. It's just that there's no way for it to be assistive to where I can do it by myself. Because we're such a visual world, right? We set everything up to be visually based, and that's no one's fault. That's just the way the world is. So yeah, it's the little things like that that are the most frustrating.
yeah, so many times when we're doing things, we are only conscious of our senses, and we don't often
Mm-hmm.
stop to think of those who may be challenged in some of those
Right.
areas. So we don't cater to them. But I think the world is
Right.
becoming more sensitive to that.
Somewhat, yeah. And the reality is, a lot of that stuff, it just doesn't make sense to do it that way. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to have a talking microwave. For most
Yes,
people, right?
there's lazy people out there like me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but little things like the place I moved into has an elevator that actually talks when you get to the floor, right? Well, that's not only super cool for me because I know what floor I'm on, but the reality is that actually helps people who are in there if they're wanting to pay attention, because they may be, looking at their phone or whatever while they're on the elevator, and it announces what floor they're on. So, like, that to me is assistive technology that helps everybody, not just someone who can't see.
Right.
So yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, I think if you start viewing things that way, that there are assistive technologies that are only going to help the population that they're intended to help. But there's assistive technologies that, if done correctly, helps everybody,
Right.
and those should be implemented. Like the reality is, crosswalks that beep or that talk. Hell, those help people who can't see as much as they help people who can see. And so, like, why aren't those used more? I don't have an answer to that question, but they're not. But I mean, I know that. I mean, I can't tell you how many friends that I've walked with that who can see. They're like, I love the fact that this talks, or the fact that this chirps, or whatever they happen to do. They all do something different. Just because it's just one more added layer of safety that helps them. Because again, they can be looking at their phone and wait for the crosswalk to talk before they walk, right? So yeah.
Well, maybe you can be the person in the world to bring more consciousness to the need for these.
I probably should be.
You should. I think if anybody will do it, Ryan, it's you.
Yeah.
So let's get going on it.
I know I should.
New
I definitely
project
should.
for you. So did you go through high school and go to prom and do all those things? Like your
I did, actually. It's funny. I actually went to 3 proms my sophomore, junior, and senior
Look at
year.
you.
I wasn't dating any of the girls that I went to prom with. I was just good friends with all of them, which is kind of the way I typically am. But yeah, I actually went to 3 proms in high school. Yeah.
And did you dance?
Oh yeah. Danced, and I've got like amazing pictures. I mean, hell, one of the girls I went with ended up in Playboy a couple years later. So, like,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, I women who are very intelligent, attractive, strong women are women that not only I tend to like, but tend to like me, because it's amazing how, if you respect a intelligent female for what she is, which is an intelligent, incredible female, how much they love and cherish you, because unfortunately most men just view them, for their physical beauty, which is, I mean, physical beauty is a part of it, but when you get to know somebody who is as or more beautiful on the inside than the outside, then that just, like, that's what makes the 10 out of a 10, right? Is when you're beautiful on the inside and out, right? And unfortunately, people don't take the time to get to know intelligent, attractive women for who they are, and that's a shame. So that's why I have so many of them as friends.
I concur 100%. It's one of my
Mhm.
constant complaints.
Yeah, that's sad.
So now that you are counseling, you counsel people. Why
Mhm.
did you choose this over? Well, you said you don't like to deal with the law. field?
It's funny because I have a master's in counseling and psych. And the reason I chose coaching over counseling is I like the philosophy of it's very present focused. I
Yeah.
mean, we deal with the past some, but it's much more who are you now? Where do you want to be in the future? And how do I help get you from where you are now to where you want to be? Plus, people who go into coaching tend to want to change. They tend to be really ambitious, driven people.
Yeah.
And those are just more fun people to work with because they actually are wanting to change versus they're there because court order or their parents or whatever the situation may be. So I really enjoy working with that population. Plus, I myself love to continually learn, grow, and evolve. And in order for me to continually bring value to my high achieving clients, 'cause that's what I work with, high achievers, I continually have to learn, grow, and evolve. So it forces me to be better for my job and for my clients. So it's kind of it's kind of one of those it's a perfect unity of both. I have to learn to help serve them, and because they're high achievers, means I have to be better, and because I have to be better, I have to continually learn. So it's a really beautiful circle of that. So
Oh,
that's kind of why I chose to do it. Yeah.
I love it. And so what age group do you counsel? Any age group, anybody, or do you?
Pretty much any age group, but I'd say they're probably at least 20 to probably 70, 65 or 70. It really just because I focus more on mindset and people who want to learn, to get better, to evolve more than I focus on age.
Okay.
Because that truthfully, there's people who don't want to learn at 15 and there's people who want to learn at 90, right? And it really is that mindset difference that's the key, because people who want to learn and grow and change are the ones who stay young. The ones that are stuck in the past are the ones who get old. And that's irrespective of age.
Once again, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons I started this series is COVID-19. I thought, since some people are complaining that the news media is sensationalized or slanted one way or the other, I thought, this is my hobby. Why don't I do this? And so I must ask you if it's affecting you, and if it is, how?
So luckily I work from home. So as far as day-to-day job, has it affected me? Nah. I mean, what I do on a day-to-day basis is the same. I still work out from home. I still, work from home. I still do. Where it has affected is how many of potential clients want to respond because they're all worried about their jobs. They're all worried about their careers. They have other concerns other than, it's funny when you look at hierarchy of needs, belonging and self-esteem and growth are at the very top of the pyramid, where food and shelter and stuff are at the bottom. Right now, people are concerned about food and shelter. They're concerned about, will I have a job to be able to afford my home? And so they're just not in the right place. So I'm not as busy marketing and stuff as I would be normally, because people just aren't in the right mindset. So it's affected that more than it's affected my day to day. I mean, hell, I moved during the middle of a COVID pandemic, right? One of the reasons why I did it was because no one else was moving, and I got a screaming deal on the place that I'm living, right? So it worked out financially, and that's a lot of it. Again, mindset. I was safe, but it was looking at the opportunity that I had, because my lease was coming up, and it was hey, let's look around, let's see if I can get a better deal. And I'm saving, $600 a month on rent compared to what I was paying, just because I was willing to move during a COVID crisis, right? So it's affecting things like that, but it's because I viewed it as an opportunity in this situation rather than a reason not to do it, right?
Right.
And because one of the reasons I moved is because they were wanting to up my rent by $355. And so if you look about how much they were wanting to charge me, I'm saving $1,000 a month.
Wow.
But I think they thought I wasn't going to move because of the COVID. And so they're hey, let's see if we can get more rent out of it. And I was that's more than I want to pay. Let's see what's around, right? So that open mindset, that willingness to take that risk, allowed me to go on and find an actual nicer place, probably for a much, much, much cheaper rent. And so that's kind of how it's affecting me, because I'm viewing it as an opportunity. This was an opportunity to save money. It's an opportunity to learn for a lot of us. It's an opportunity for a lot of us to reconnect with family, reconnect with friends, to pick up a hobby, to learn. Like there's things that we can be doing right now that, during our normal hustle and bustle life, we wouldn't normally do, right?
It's true.
And so that's how I'm viewing it, as that. And the reality is, it's an opportunity for certain things, and it's damaging other things, right? Like we're not able to do the physical going out and meet with friends for dinner or for drinks, right? We're not able to travel. So like it's definitely not an opportunity for everything. So I'm not like being a Pollyanna about this, but it's like anything, you do the best you can with the circumstances as they're currently presented. And that's really what I'm doing. So
Very, very impressed with your attitude. Did
thanks.
you ever go through anger, like, why did this happen to me? Like people often do when misfortune hit
Yeah.
behind me. What did I do? Did you
Yeah.
experience any of that?
I did. And the reality is I did when I was younger, especially because, again, I lost football. I'm from a small town. Driving was a huge part. I wasn't able to drive. Like who in small town, like what sport you're good at, driving. Those are a lot of status things that I was unable to have at that age, which is very, very important at that age, especially as a male. And so I did go through a lot of anger with that. And then college, it was a little bit less because we all lived on the dorms. So, if we drove, it was 4 or 5 of us in one vehicle anyway. Well, it didn't really affect me. So I was a little bit less angry then because I was able to regain some control and I was living a much more normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped. But then, going through law school, when law school got difficult, some of it came back because it's kind of like, God, this stuff would be so much easier if I could see, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things where like the anger goes back and forth depending on what I'm doing in life because, I'm always looking for challenges. And as a result, I'm always finding new ways that not being able to see is limiting me, that I get frustrated about, that I get angry about, and then I have to come up with a solution for. So it really is cyclical because that's the thing about a disability, right? Like it affects one or more major aspects of life. Well, the unfortunate part about major aspects of life is they're always there. So there's always a reminder. But anger is just part of it. You have to embrace it, go on with it, not wallow in it, and then work to find the solution to that problem,
Right.
and then overcome. So overall, I'm really very, very, very happy. But yeah, I still have moments of anger. I still have moments of, I wouldn't call it depression, but I'd call it sadness, right? I still have moments of frustration because that's it's just part of the situation. But the reality is, I know I've gone on and achieved more because I can't see, or like to basically, despite the fact that I can't see, than
Yeah.
I would if I had not lost my vision in many ways. Like, I know I'm a better person. I know I've gone further academically than I would have gone. I know I work much harder not to give up probably than I would have otherwise. So, there's some silver lining to this cloud.
I love your attitude. I hope it's contagious. I hope
Yeah,
that
so
some
do I.
people
So do
will
I.
catch it when they watch this segment. I must ask you this question.
Hmm.
What have you learned about people as a disadvantage, somebody with a handicap?
What have I learned about people?
Yes.
People don't give themselves enough credit that they can overcome things that they don't think they can overcome. Because one of the things that I always hear is like, if I was in your situation, I couldn't do, fill in the blank. And the reality is, you don't know what you could or couldn't do because until you're in that situation, you don't know how hard you would try or how quickly you might give up. Like people just don't give themselves enough credit that they will rise to the occasion. That's what I've learned about people.
Thank you. And do you find that people react kindly to you when you're out and about, people that you don't know?
I do actually. It's funny. I speak, and one of the reasons, and it took me a long time to want to speak publicly, and it's because one of my fears was being asked the question of like, I have this kid, or I know this kid that has a disability who is bullied. How did you deal with being bullied? And I never want to answer that question because I've never been bullied. I have never once in my life been
So
bullied. And
happy
I
to hear that.
don't know why. Like, that's the problem. I don't know why. I mean, I was a jock. I was in the locker room. I mean, I guys harassed me and tormented me, but hell, I deserved it. I was harassed and tormenting them. It was locker room behavior. But I've never been bullied, and I don't know why. And I think a lot of it might be my personality. A lot of it's the fact that I don't look blind. I carry myself well. I dress nice. I walk with confidence and authority. I guess don't expect to be treated any differently than anybody. So maybe that's a lot of it, but I'm not sure that's the case. So yeah, people treat me just like everybody else, treat me super, super nice. And I feel very fortunate and blessed because I know that's not the case for everybody in my situation. And I wish I really knew why I wasn't, because then I'd be able to help those who were being bullied or who have been bullied, who are not being treated well.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. That really makes me happy to hear, because I know
Yeah.
sometimes people can be unkind when people are different, or
They can. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear you haven't experienced that. So are you being compliant and staying indoors? Are you?
I am.
Okay.
I am actually.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is like take your dog potty and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've been compliant overall. Although Texas has kind of loosened up their, I think last Friday, as a matter of fact, they loosened up, some restaurants, some shopping. So things are starting to kind of slowly get back to normal. But yeah, I've been compliant so far.
Good job. I love it. So what message do you want to leave for people watching this segment? What do you want to say to people? What is the one thing you'd like to impart? I've been asking you a lot of questions, and I'm so grateful. I'm fascinated with your story. But I figure you may have a message you want to leave for them, and I don't want to.
I think it kind of goes back to the question you asked about the one thing I learned about people. Give yourself more credit. You can overcome more challenges, more setbacks than you give yourself credit for. That's my biggest, I think, thing for people is basically never stop trying, never give up, and give yourself more credit. You have more greatness. You have more ability to overcome than you think.
Ryan, we're almost out of time. You were awesome. And since
Thanks.
you've indicated that you'd like to be married, my wish for you is that you find the right woman and that you can have a big wedding, and don't forget to invite me.
Okay, deal. We'll do that.
I thank you so very much. What's on the horizon for you before we wrap up?
More of the same. Working with amazing clients. Working on myself, growing. Once things go more back to normal, hanging again with friends, going to grab, dinner, and just living life to the fullest.
Wonderful. And if you had one wish and you were guaranteed it would come true, what would that be?
Oh, really, truly, it would just be to do more of what I'm doing. Just have more fun, hang with more incredible people, change more lives. Just more of what I'm currently doing.
I am so surprised you didn't say get my vision back. You are truly an inspirational person, Ryan. Thank you so much. You've made my day.
Thank you.
I've been interviewing people for 10 years, and I must say,
really?
This interview will really stick with me. I thank you, because we see and we have everything going, and yet we complain. So when I hear someone like you who had the gift of sight and then had it taken away, and you're so positive, I can only tell myself that I shouldn't complain about too much. Because there are some things I just have to complain about.
Oh, trust me, I do too.
All right. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Please stay corona-free and continue to bring the value you're bringing to this world. You clearly are bringing a lot of value. And I thank you, because I've learned so much from you during this interview.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything else before we wrap?
I don't think so. I think I've kind of said everything I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Stay corona-free, and I will be staying in touch with you. Maybe I'll come to you for some counseling.
Sounds great.
Everybody needs help sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, and I'm sure you've gotten a lot of inspiration from this segment. And I will see you next time. Thank you, Ryan.